this contemplation really lends mind to what we're talking about tonight and what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, and how we prepare for death and how we look at death and how others look at death. And I hope this opens up a lot of minds and hearts to really see how we can truly make death a good thing and bring that to our community. So tonight, Around the World in Final Days brings us to the Islam-Muslim traditions, and then we're going to go far away to Indonesia and talk about the peoples there. So I will introduce our first speaker, a friend of mine, Justin Burton. So Justin sees and believes himself to be a man of faith, embracing all forms of religions and practices. Justin's been in the healthcare industry for over 10 years plus. Currently, he works with his management company, JMB Management and Consulting, as a liaison with Transcend Hospice and Palliative Care. He came to Abode during his time as president of the Alamo Area Home Care Council and has been on Abode's board for 3 years now. And right now, he holds the position of vice chairman, and he will be our incoming chairman or president starting in January of 2027. So we're real excited about that, and we're so happy that Justin has agreed to talk to us this week and next week, so we get to hear him again. So Justin, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. I appreciate it, everyone. And this topic that Beverly asked me to speak on, Islam and Muslim, quick background. And so for those, I am a Masonic man. I'm a Freemason. I became one at the age of 24. And so that's when my transition in spirituality and faith, changed. And so I started to embrace more cultures, more faiths, more practices, and it has evolved, over my time now. So what I speak on today, not to change anyone's faith, it's just things that I've learned, things that I have embraced, or things that have been taught to me throughout my time. And so I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start by literally starting. Let's see here if I can do all of this. Yeah. Everyone see what I see? Everyone see my Zoom? Okay, everyone see. Here we go. So we're going to start here basically with the birth of Islam. Islam is the religion of everything. We're going to start with the birth of Islam. In order to start with the traditions, we must start in order with the birth. Islam was started, originated. They're going to say in the 7th century here in Google, but we don't know. If you are Islamic, if you are of the Muslim faith, it says it was founded by the Prophet Muhammad. Every time you say the Prophet Muhammad, you must say all praises be to Allah. And so the reason that is that literally it is said that the angel Gabriel came down and spoke with Muhammad and gave him the answers of God, saying that God, there's only one God. You must fear God. You must believe in God. You must show God all the respect and all the obedience. And if not, God can destroy you, or God can put fear in you. And so he says, all praises must be to him. So anytime Muhammad said anything to any of his teachings, he said, all praises be to Allah, all praises be to God after everything he did, because he wanted everyone to know that after everything and he said, there is basically all praises to Allah, or to God. If you read here, literally, what I'm about to say literally is contradictory to those in their faith. So please excuse me. So Muslims, Islam believes that the faith of Islam, being a Muslim, derived from the death and the crucifixion of Jesus. When Jesus died, so many things happened around the Roman Empire, and so many things happened from his death. I'm gonna go right here real quick. So many things happened in the death of Jesus around 30, 30 AD. From that time of his crucifixion until the birth of Islam, so many things happened, and they believed that God believed that he needed to reorder the world. And so there was a emperor who from Roman times needed to be taken out. So he dismantled the Roman Empire. And during that, a guy, here we go. Here we'll say during that time, within that dynasty, um, Heraclius, basically from Africa, came up from Africa and took over the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was of Latin, and if you know of anything, Heraclius changed the world's language to Greek. And by doing that, that's the first language that we actually speak of in everything we do. Latin is actually the dead language. Latin is the book of the Bible. Latin was the Bible was written in, and so Greek was that, and so that's why the Ethiopian Bible was translated from Latin to Greek into Ethiopian translation, and so that's why the Ethiopian Bible is one of the oldest Bibles in the world. And so it is said that God created or God started Islam because he needed to show the world or show his people of faith that there is only one God. If you derive from Islam, it shows you Islam is a monotheist religion, whereas Muslim is the inherited practices of Islam. Islam derived from the Arabic submission to God, faith in the system believing. And so when you believe this, if you are if Islamic faith, you believe in the core beliefs of the prophets. The prophets are Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. All praises be to Allah. And so within that, everything that Islam is and being a Muslim is everything that we all believe in. Everyone of Islam's faith believes in Jesus, believes in Moses, believes of everything of the Old Testament, but not so much of the New Testament. I always say this, and we're going to learn this, that the Islamic faith, I believe religion or faith is a drug. How addictive you are to it is your own, but to be of the Islamic faith, you are on crack with it. You are on heroin. You are addicted to faith. You are of all faith when you are of Islam and you are of a Muslim. There are no days off. There are no breaks. Your submission and your right to God is everything. And so that in itself, you teach yourself every day to be preparing yourself for death. And that's one of the greatest things. If you look from the practitioners of it, it teaches you. In the Quran teaches everybody that death is inevitable, is preordained the return to Allah. And it's the same things that are in the Bible. The Quran teaches it, but I would say this: the Quran teaches about death on a level to where it's so blatant, it's so bold within itself. That's the difference from the Bible to the Quran. The Bible has the Old Testament that is of the wrath of God, is of the beauty of God and all things that it created. The New Testament speaks about the grace of Jesus and the loving and the kindness of it. The Quran speaks mostly in the Old Testament ways. It teaches you of everything God can do for you in a good way, but it also teaches everything God can do in a bad way. But it also teaches of death. And it teaches you that literally that we are one body, mind, spirit, and soul, and that we all have our day of judgment with the Lord or with God. And it teaches you that, and you learn that each and every day, and you practice that each and every day. That is one of the great things about, or the great things of being of Islamic faith, being a Muslim. You practice your death every day because you know that you will have to meet God one way or another. And they speak on that, or they read on that here when you're speaking and when you're seeing things. And this is all in Google, so you're speaking on that. It's the simple things of always, as they talk about when Jesus was on the cross, you can repent to Jesus for your sins. It's the same thing within the Quran. You're able to repent. You're able to seek righteousness and live righteousness, and even you can do that up to your last breath. And so, and anytime you want to say anything, you say the Shaheed. It's the Shadiada, Iadah, the Shaheed. You can speak that, and that is the same thing as saying, "I'm giving all graces, I'm giving all things to God." When you're about to die, you can literally convert yourself. Anyone who can speak the Shaheed in verbiage and believe that they could be Muslim and they will have a good death. They say that in the Islamic faith. They believe in the angels. They believe, you see it right here, the commission to take the body out of the soul out of the body. The believers of the soul is taken gently, while the souls of the sinners are taken with severe force. It's the same thing as if from the devil, from taking a soul, from everything. In the Islamic faith, they believe that everyone has a spirit, and that spirit can be lifted and ascended up into heaven. If you are of good faith and of good righteousness. If you are of bad faith and bad righteousness, then your body will be taken with force, and you will be put into the perils of sin for all eternity. Same thing as the Bible teaches. The great thing about it is that you go through this each and every day, and the Quran teaches you this, and the Quran literally shows you this. And I literally was reading about the Quran, and I couldn't pull it up, but it literally says, I'm gonna read a part to you within the Quran. It says basically here, for it is the truth of the Lord. He will exculpate those of their sins. It will make good of their state. For those who are disbelievers of falsehood, while those who believe the truth of the Lord, thus will make Allah forth the parables of mankind. Those who are disbelievers, God will wound them and bind them with the fear of his all might. And so that's when I say the Quran is more bold on anything and everything about faith. And it teaches you to appreciate life and understand that death comes for us all. That's one thing that it does teaches you. And the beauty of it all, if you learn about the Muslim traditions, it's very simple. Islamic faith and being a Muslim, death customs speed up the simplicity of death. The burial happens within 24 hours normally, right? And this speaks on, and this goes to going backwards. This goes to the crucifixion, the crucifix of Jesus. It is said, and this is something that is up to the debate, but it is said that at the time of Jesus' death, whenever he was crucified, he was brought down from the cross. He was taken to a place to where his body was cleaned, and they call that and right here, the washing of the body, they call it a ghusl. It's Ghusl. That's when the washing of the body there. They believe that Jesus' body was washed, that all of his body was washed, and his body was washed by males. When you're doing the washing of the body, your body is washed by the same sex, and that was literally derived from the time of the crucifixion of Jesus. That's that bridge right there. They took those practices and practiced those with Muhammad, all praises be to Allah, within the Islamic faith. It is said also when you're doing that, you do the salat ala jahaz, the burial prayer, the funeral prayer, which I'm going to read as best as I can. And it lets you know that basically this prayer is put up before everyone. As you see here, when I went through the doula class, and those who have been through the doula class, you do the shrouding. They do that in the Islamic faith. No one is buried in a casket or a coffin. And I'm going to show you guys, no one is buried in that. Everyone is buried literally shrouded, but your body is cleaned, like clean to the T through everything. And this is called right here, this is called the Shahini, the washing of the washing of the body. I just asked in Google, when did it start, right? It said over 1,400 years ago in the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad, all praises be to Allah. And it says that this was started in this time to where you're washing the hands of the body, right? You're washing everything. This is encouraged by all practice and all faith in all things. And if you look here, it'll say that basically the practice is done, and it's done by literally 3 times. You have to wash the mouth. You have to wash your hands first, because in going back at the time of the crucifixion of Jesus, everyone washed their hands before they touched Jesus. You did not touch Jesus before washing your hands. So everyone washed their hands before they touched Jesus. And they washed their hands. They made sure they were clean. And after that, each individual person had a section of the body to clean. You put a towel over anyone's exposed private parts, and then you clean their face. One person cleans their face, they clean their nose multiple times, they clean their mouth, open the inside of their mouth, they clean their mouth multiple times, they clean around their neck, their chest, their under their arms, their feet, their legs, and then you clean the private area. And you clean all these things multiple times. It says 3 times here, but you clean all these things multiple times by pouring water and cleaning the body and making sure everything is clean. This is done, in fact, literally some things happen with different ways of death, but it doesn't matter how you die, you still get the same burial. So, literally you could be killed in any kind of way, die in any kind of way, you get the same thing because you have died, or you have died a individual of the Islamic faith. Excuse me. And so these teachings go back literally that far. And for those who don't understand, they literally translate to everything we do today. For the shrouding to the cleaning, it literally started back and during this time. And of course, if you go further back, it goes back to the Egyptians also as well. So this goes all the way back. And this is a current practice that's done even till this day, right? And so this is a lady here who goes around to different mosques around the world. And so she herself goes to different mosques. And so it will show you where it is that they do the cleaning. It's just like a funeral. They proceed the cleaning and do all the cleaning for people and things like that. If you see the coffin, and so when you are of Muslim faith, some places or some burial places, they won't allow a open body, even wrapped, to be entered into a cemetery. So they have to place them into a coffin first, and then once they're taken there, then they can take the coffin out and they shroud them, and they shroud them in the kahif right here. And so it's the same way. If you're like, I know Jerry is on the thing, and so is Courtney, but we were there at the shrouding, and I know we've done the shrouding at Abode, but it's the same thing. You spiritualize that person, you throw oil up on that person, and you make sure that everything is covered from head to toe, wrapping them. And you wrap them 3 times. So you wrap them once around the chest, once around the abdomen, and then you wrap them around the legs. So you wrap them 3 times, just as much. And so I always like to say everything that is of Islamic faith and being a Muslim literally comes from a lot from the Old Testament of literally, and it comes from, like, you think about the Holy Trinity, the threes and things. There's so much that goes together. It's just that, just that one difference that, everyone gets hicked up on about, Jesus and God and everything else. But I think it's all hilarious sometimes. And so the funeral prayer, which we're going to read. And so Muslims are burying any coffins, as I said. And so the burial place, if you see it right here, they do it, multiple people touch it. And I remember from when Jerry and I did it, I think it was 3 of us or on each side, and one person had the head and one person had the leg. So it's the same way. It is 3 people on each side. One person, they're all holding the body. One person has the head, one person has the foot, and they're wrapped up, and they place the person already inside of the burial place. And like I said, if it's a male person, males do it for males, females do it for females. That's the one thing that they do pride themselves, is that no opposite sex will touch the other opposite sex at the moment of death. And so, you preserve a woman touching a woman even at the end of death. You preserve that dignity to them, that dignity to a male. And so that's just, I think, always just a beautiful portion of it that you'll see. And so it's simple burial things just like that, like we have as well. But everything is always faced towards Mecca, though. So it's always faced towards the east. So you may see the difference of the plots and see the sacred burial. If you read this right here, well, Christian graves are pointed east to west, things like that. Everything, the direction is pointed towards Mecca, which is in the east. So, there's the most times it's literally, you'll see the different, you'll know a Muslim because their plot may be different than other plots, because, everything has to be faced towards the east. Everything has to be faced towards Mecca. So you'll know a Muslim grave when you walk across it. If you didn't know it, you will know one, and of course you'll see the inscription of Arabic on it, of course, if that's the case. But if you didn't, you can see the difference of it, and so forth. And so when you're doing the prayer, this is sort of what it looks like if you're doing it from someone who is literally of a friendship, a friend. And this is for a male, right? If this were a female, all the females would be up front, but this is a male gentleman who had passed away. They're looking at, I'm actually on a Muslim website here. And so whenever anyone has passed away, right? You do a prayer. And so you start off by saying Allah Akbar. And it's basically, you say that, you're saying basically you're putting yourself to say, praise Allah, or praise be Allah, right? You touch your ears and you put your right hand over your left hand. You put it close to your chest. You put it like this, as these gentlemen basically all have it there. They have it close to their chest, or have it close to their belly, to their abdomen. And so you start off by saying that, and then you recite the Fahar. And then here you start off by saying, in the name of Allah, and the entire merciful, especially merciful, all praises be due to Allah. And this goes further on down. And this prayer is said recitful. That is kind of like the one of the nice things that I've learned about Islam, being a Muslim. Great pride is taken into everything. And so this prayer is literally written out, or said out loud, word for word, by everybody. Everyone knows the prayer by heart. I've never been to an Islamic funeral, so I've never seen it up close. But I watched many videos while doing this, and it teaches you so much about how much love and passion they show one another. And so they say this prayer, and I'm gonna just slow it so everyone can read it while I'm talking. But they say this prayer here, and it speaks upon how each person, how they want you to enter into the gates of heaven, or they want you to enter into your meeting with God. Because they've already wrapped your body, they've already cleansed your body, they oiled your body, they've allowed you to pray over your body while they were cleaning your body, and then they wrapped your body, and they wrapped your body so tight, but now they haven't put you in, but they said this prayer. And so this prayer is literally your entry into your meeting with God. It gives you your spirit some relief. It gives your body some relief, saying that your meeting with God is going to be good. And then it says like, let us not astray after him, right? And so after this, you basically say, Assalamu alaikum, aradu adu Allah. And so basically that's just saying to you in layman's terms, be with God. All praises be with God, and you be with God. I should say that you be with God, right? And so after saying all that, you literally and you're being buried in everything of that right there. The thing about Islamic faith and being a Muslim is that they believe that life is life and death is death, and they look at it in the sense of, because I literally just Googled it, which I know already, but the death of Muhammad, basically, he became Muhammad at the age of 40 when he got his first visions from the angel Gabriel. But he literally he literally only lived, quote unquote, as the prophet for only 22 years, quote unquote, right? And so, as you see here, they say that he died just of illness, of pain, and he was buried, And so that's the difference in which how they perceive things, because they believe this is how death is inevitable to us all. And so it says that literally, while other traditions counts from his slow poisoning, but he died from focuses speaking on his fever and his sickness. And so if you look at it from his death, he selected Abu Akar as his first Capian. And so and in the way that Muslims look at it, the first Kapia, I'm gonna say it right, that's basically like the Pope. That's their Pope. Peter, as you look at it from the Bible standpoint, God, Jesus told Peter, I should build my church up on this rock. Peter became the first Pope. And so that's how this translates over to this faith, to this religion. And so I think it's very unique how when you're thinking of Islamic Muslim traditions, they literally derive from the death of one of the most famous persons of the world, because literally everything that they do literally deals from when the death of Jesus. Like literally, they believe that when Jesus has died from history being passed down through history, that his body was literally taken off, cleansed, wrapped, shrouded, and then for those who believe in his resurrection, you believe in his resurrection. For those who believe that his body was taken for the safety of himself, for the safety of life, that's what the Jewish believe. That's what the Muslim, that's what the Islamics believe, that his body was taken for his safety, and that he actually died. And so these things are of their faith, and it derives exactly from Jesus' crucifixion. And so and the Quran teaches you this as well as this, that death is inevitable and preordained to Allah. And so it literally tells us about Judgment Day. And so if you look at it from where we at here, I'm gonna go back here real quick to we go back here to right here. And if you go back to here where the core beliefs are, they believe that death comes for us all. It speaks about this in Revelation, and it speaks about this in the Torah and the Quran. We talk about the four horsemen. We talk about the four plagues of things. In the Quran, they believe that Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, all praise be to Allah, are those four individuals. If God felt that the world was not fit and needed to be cleansed, he would send those four individuals back to cleanse the earth. That's what the Quran teaches you. And so they believe in that so heavily that through death and through the end of death, they teach you that, and they pray over that. If you speak it in Arabic, they speak about each individual as their, when I was watching the video and they kind of translated it into English, I'll put it in the chat. They translate it into English, talking about each individual prophet, saying that basically, the way they see God. So I think it's fascinating about how I think it's fascinating about how the faith of Islam is really is really tied into everything in which we believe in our own faith and the traditions that they hold dear about how taking care of someone at the end of death, about shrouding their body, about washing their body, about oiling their body. Um, I remember when an individual died at Abode, Jerry and I were there with I think someone, and Jerry was cleansing the room. They do that as well, right? Whenever someone dies in a room, they cleanse it. They make sure that the room is cleansed. Whenever they're in the room, whatever they're washing the body, they do that afterwards. So there's so many nuances that, that natural traditions hold today comes from the Islamic faith. And I think we can all learn something from just, literally that. And it seems like, literally at Abode, we do a lot of things that literally tie into that. So thank you, everybody. And all praises be to Allah.
Thank you, Justin. We'll have time for questions, I think, at the end. So hold on to your questions. But this is a great tie-in. So where we're going now, thank you. Thank you. That was really informative. All right. So, Christy, if you can bring up my slides, I'm going to start by saying I started reading about Tanah Toraja in Indonesia by reading this book again, From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Dowdy. And she's got a whole chapter on this. And so after I read it, I thought, I need to do that. I think this is a pretty cool thing. I will warn you, what you will see tonight is pretty graphic. You're going to see some things that aren't comfortable. So, if it's too much, just turn away. But, I thought it might be too macabre to look at some of these things. But after reading and watching and studying, I've learned to understand such an act of love and reverence and love that these people have for their dead. And I hope you enjoy this journey. Next slide. So, Tanah Toraja is in Indonesia. Indonesia is made up of about 17,000 islands, and it's the fourth largest populated area of the world. And on the island of South Sulawesi is an area called Tanah Toraja. And in Tanah Toraja, they don't fear death. They look forward to it. It's a cause for celebration. Death is the combination of a wedding, a bar mitzvah, and a family reunion all in one. In this area, well, in Indonesia, most people are Muslim, but in this area, they're mostly Christian. And it was the Dutch that brought Christianity to this area. But they also believe in a religion called Aluk Tudolo, which is the way of the ancestors. And this is what has brought this practice into being. Next slide. So Tanah Toraja, they call it living with the dead. So when someone dies, they do not believe that they're dead. They believe that they're sick. So when someone dies, they are left in the home, and they can remain there for never days. It's usually weeks, months, and years. Someone in the family injects the body with formaldehyde or formalin. And, just trying to research that, like how much, how do they do it? Well, they inject the body, and it takes about 3 liters of formaldehyde to preserve the corpse. And they're wiped with teas and herbs, and there's no decaying smell. When people have gone to visit families and see this, They said they smell formalin, they smell musk, but they don't smell decay. In this bottom picture, you'll see a couple. The woman on the left, she died about 2 years ago, and her husband on the right died about 2 weeks prior to this, and he had Parkinson's disease. And they wanted to die together because remember, they believe that they're not dead, they're just sick right now. So during this time, when they're living with the family, they bring them food, they read to them, they pray with them. They are still very much living with them. Next slide. So when a person is considered dead is when they have the funeral. And the funeral is called the Rambu Solo. And funerals glue the Torajans tightly from one family to the next, from one village to the next. It is a party. It lasts days. And it is attended by family from far and wide, from other villagers. And depending on how wealthy you are, is kind of like the length of the funeral. But most people will save for years for this party. So they spend far more for a funeral than we do on weddings here. So they believe that the water buffalo are carriers of the soul to the eternal home or to the afterlife. So they will go and get 50, 60, 70 water buffalo for this celebration. And buffaloes cost about $1,400 a piece. So just for the funeral, they can spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on just the buffalo alone. And then, of course, there are pigs. So, I put here funerals can cost a family $50,000, but it can cost way more than that. So there was a story that I saw where a young girl came home and wanted to go to college, and it was going to cost them $10,000. And the family said they couldn't afford to send her to college because they had to buy pigs for the aunt's funeral. So funerals really trump, college and things like that. This, again, is a very, very big deal. Next slide. So once the funeral occurs, again, the days of celebration, and just so you know, when they slaughter the pigs and the water buffalo, they use every morsel. The horns adorn their homes, the bones, but they eat everything. All of the organs, the entrails, all of it is eaten, and nothing goes to waste. So next is the puya, or the afterlife. And these are the people that are kept in the cliffs. So when the dead, after the funeral, they're placed into the cliffs above the villages. And if you're rich, you'll have a crypt. If you're not, you'll go in a cave. And you are brought there, and they bring you cigarettes and coins and things you're going to need for the afterlife. And then what I thought was really cute, they have someone in the village make a statue of the deceased, carved from wood, and it's a likeness of that person. And they dress them up in their clothes, and they're placed and perched over the village to look down upon the people, to protect them, to have a presence. And in the days before photography, this was how they kept a likeness of their loved ones. So they want their loved ones with them all the time. Okay, next slide. So next we're going to go into Menene. And Menene is cleansing of the corpses, and it's also a family reunion. Menene is a way of repaying love to your ancestors. Okay, next slide. So the family reunion, Menene, every few years, the coffins are brought out of the crypts and out of the caves, and they're opened up. And this usually happens in August. They cleanse the bodies, they cleanse the corpses and change their clothes in order to reconnect with their loved ones. The desire to stay connected to loved ones in both body and spirit. And they believe that people don't ever die permanently. And their real desire is to have and become an ancestor. So when they bring their loved ones out, they do it with such love, and they're just joyful. And sacrifices occur again. They have another celebration of the reunion and remembrance. They touch them, they comb their hair. They often say, this is normal, this is normal. There's no repulsion. They're just drawn to these corpses. And there they say the grief can be released. And there's not a lot of talk about grief in this community. It's really not even thought of. Next slide. They sense this is a sense of conclusion. It was a tradition that was disappearing until the 1950s, and now it's back, and it's still going on. These aren't people, villagers that live remotely. They drive cars, they have cell phones. In many of the videos I saw, they'd have, their iPhone taking pictures with, their loved ones. But here, death trumps life, and death is not a brick wall, but kind of a gauze veil. In Toraja, you live to die. Next slide. So, Menene does not mean goodbye. One man put it that it's like when you come home for Christmas and you have that feeling of joy, meeting someone you haven't seen for a very long time. And my question is, what if, like the Torajans, we gave ourselves more time to unwind grief and loss at its own pace? Because again, this goes on and on and on. They lived with their loved ones for years. They raise enough money to celebrate them. They're put in the caves and they're brought out, every couple of years for another reunion, and their corpses are just cared for and loved on. And they always say, I hope they look like they did before, because, they know that, the corpses can continue to decay. So, how did we distance ourselves so much from death? And as Justin talked in about the Muslim Islamic faith, the body's wrapped and buried in 24 hours. And these people, it goes on and on. So the question isn't why do they do what they do, but why do we do what we do? One man said, as he was pointing at his mother and father laying in the living room a few slides back. He said, my father is here, but I am here. So he's really not dead. And my mother is here. I have daughters, so she's not really dead. So they embrace death, and they don't look at death as a goodbye or a finality. So Christy, I want you to bring up the video. Oh, we're getting. Do we have sound?
Can you hear the sound?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me try this.
Kita tidak takut dengan mayat atau jenazah yang ada, sebab kasih sayang kita jauh lebih besar kepada nenek moyang kita dibanding ketakutan kita itu. Jadi
nang susi matoto ada aturan yan na tidak mati susi te nya nampo ko do ko nenek pwede pa kan dito sa bisang pa ito masakit to Kau ini bawa anak tolong lah. Jangan nama mungkin ada di bawah manis dan masai pun lampu ikut tu patu mati jendela sambayang ko tiran keluar dari sampai apa di pas sambayang sampai di sana bayi ko to mama serang keluar dari patung di what did few people don't want to keep more times so they keep only several weeks and then people there but middle class sometimes they keep it there but in several months. And for the high class, they keep it back around 2 years. Cerita orang dulu bahwa orang yang meninggal nantinya kalau tidak ada kerbau dia tidak cepat sampai ke Puya. Jadi kerbau itu merupakan sebagai kendaraan ke alam baka. Contohnya kita ngaden to ini pertunan na di tempat dia atau di dong yang pertunan na sampai ki nene kita nera rabuku.
Makanya tuh supaya ada kenang-kenangan. Sebab mungkin 3 tahun yang akan datang sudah lain lagi bentuknya. Dan mudah-mudahan itu tetap awet seperti yang kita lihat pada saat ini. Kita ganti pakaiannya itu, sebab pakaian yang lama kan sudah tidak bagus kelihatan. Pak Nenek mengingatkan kita kembali untuk apa? Untuk menyatakan kasih kita kepada nenek moyang kita. Jadi mungkin waktu itu saya lahir, neneknya nenek saya atau nenek moyang saya sudah meninggal. Tapi di saat-saat nenek ini saya masih bisa menyatakan tanda terima kasih saya kepada nenek moyang saya. Sebab tidak mungkin saya ada kalau nenek moyang saya itu tidak ada.
They mixed belief, They just believe in worship to the soul, the dead body, even though they still believe in God.
Jadi bagi dunia ini mungkin sesuatu yang tidak lazim ya. Tetapi inilah adat istiadat kami. Inilah keunikan kami di sini.
Okay, that's it. So that was just a little taste of what happens in Tanah Toraja. I think we can learn a lot from these people, to not fear death and to, look on our loved ones as being still with us and among us. I apologize for a lot of the audiovisual stuff. Apple doesn't work so much with the other. Everything I sent over was from an Apple device. But I would like to open this to questions and comments if anybody has any. Just unmute yourself.
I just want to comment that the way that all of you are presenting these different cultures is so beautiful and reverent, and it invites contemplation. It's interesting because I've seen a lot about the Indonesian death rituals, and one of it was on a show called Dark Tourist, where they were really exoticizing it, and it was very distasteful. And then, juxtaposing that with the way that you and Justin and all of our presenters, Jerry, last week, are presenting, just with the beauty and awe and wonder. So I just want to shout that out. Thank you.
Yeah. I again, it can be startling to see that and to know that people live like that. But the more I looked into it and the more I read about it and saw the pictures I just thought it was lovely. And especially the man who said, I had never met my great grandparents, but I do. Every few years, we bring them out. And so family and community is still there. And yeah, they just, they really honor death. I mean, like I said, it's a reunion, it's a bar mitzvah, it's a wedding, a party that lasts for days and days and days. And you don't do it until you can afford it. Yeah. And in the days to come, we're going to talk about our rituals here in our American culture and how we're really losing this because people are opting for cremation and maybe not even a celebration of life. Ashes are being left on the mantle without a recognition of that person's life. And yeah, so how can we blend this and bring this together and help with our grief and help us move on after someone's died? We learn in the Muslim faith, ritual is really important. And it's something we have very little of here. I'll just say that.
I appreciate everybody that we've heard from. So many things that I didn't know that I'm learning. Justin, I had no idea that Jesus was such a big part of the Muslim faith. Fascinating, just fascinating.
Yeah, no. A lot of people don't know that literally, because until Muhammad, came along, Jesus was the last prophet, right? So everything that he learned or taught or did was such a big thing. And then, the story of his death, how he died, and everything else was just so much of it. So literally, because this says that Jesus bowed before man and bowed before man and bowed before man and touched someone's feet, that he actually touched his head to someone's feet. That's why Muslims pray on their knees and they bow. And so it literally comes from Jesus. And so many things derives from him. But yeah, I was fascinated by what Beverly said about the traditions of the Indonesian faith. I didn't go too far, but like Muslims have this big party, but they focus. I just learned so much that they focus more on the 24 hours after someone dies. That's the biggest part of their traditions, to making sure that someone is clean, someone is like literally wrapped, oiled, but it's all by the same gender. And that, they literally have that, and that prayer, and that, as many people as you saw in that one clip, that they're all there together. You saw in that one clip, like there's so many males around. They try to get as many people in the community or within the community or the town around. So, and as you know, from just TV, women are with women, men are with men in their culture. So that's one of their big things. But yeah, it's fascinating, learning someone else's culture and someone else's traditions.
All right. Well, that wraps up our hour together. I so appreciate all of you for coming and just being a part of this. And next week, Around the World in Final Days. Let's see, we have Beth next week. And you're going to talk about Buddhism and
Tibetan Buddhism.
Yeah. Tibetan Buddhism. And also a Jewish faith. And then Justin will be back with Asian, focusing on Japanese.
Good job.
Okay.
Yeah. The Courtney just kind of heard this from the doula class. Those are my doula class. So this will be really fun.
Good. Yeah, I heard great things about it. So we'll see you all next week, and have a good one. Stay warm. It's chilly. I'll see you.